Great to be with you as we continue, of course, to crisscross the country with the voter registration weekend underway. The presidents of the ANC and EFF are kicking off their voter registration drives this weekend in Soweto, where both parties lost electoral support in the 2021 local government elections. The region makes up at least 25% of the electorate in Johannesburg, but at the last poll, it recorded a low voter turnout, especially amongst young people. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo is in Ward 11 at Ditekeni Primary School, where EFF leader Julius Malema will start off this morning. We also will be joined, of course, there. You can see Nasiphi, Siphosethu, Booi, as well as Ziniko, Mhlaba joining us from the Free State. But let's take you to Ziyanda. Ziyanda, the EFF has been setting its sights on dethroning the DA as the official opposition. But of course, it's going to have to take voters to make their mark, especially young people who are seen absent when it comes to participating in the voting process. What's expected there today?
That's right, Timpo. It is just after 8 o'clock, and that means that voting stations across the country are officially open until 5 p.m. today. And this is where EFF leader Julius Malema will start here at Ward 11, inside the Hitekani, outside actually, he's not allowed inside, the Hitekani Primary School, where he will be kicking off his drive here in Soweto. Young people didn't come out in 2021 to vote, and so those 14 million youth that are being targeted, and probably more after the recent census results, are what a party like the EFF are targeting. Let's bring in Snawa Tambo, who speaks for the EFF, and you have an opportunity here, I suppose, to register young people, new voters in particular, where you could possibly get a solid base and increase your electorate.
Absolutely. So that's the aim of the EFF. We are going to establish our own electoral base. And that means that we are going to bring new voters onto the voters' roll, because for far too long we have been reliant on the disillusioned voters that have been brought into the electoral process by other political parties. So now it's time for the EFF to establish its own voter base and have a decisive victory in 2024. So the EFF is all over the country. The officials of the EFF are deployed in various provinces and will be leading various voter registration programs. And of course, the Commander-in-Chief will be here this morning.
And Soweto, very critical for the EFF. You've actually had some decline in this region. What have your post-2021 statistics told you that you need to do in order to actually get that youth vote, being a youthful party?
Look, we need to apply ourselves much more practically. We need to ensure that we imprint on the youth of South Africa the importance of voting, show them that their future is dependent on who they elect. They can't think that politics don't affect them simply because they don't participate. Politics will affect them whether they participate or not. So that is the mission of the EFF, is to imprint on the youth that voting days, voter registration days are not holidays. They are days in which they can take the future into their hands. And that's what we're going to do here today in Soweto, which is a critical battleground historically in South Africa.
All right, now Tambo speaks for the EFF. Any moment from now, we're expecting EFF leader Julius Malema to arrive here in Soweto in Ward 11 to, of course, continue with his drive. I'm going to step out of shot to just quickly show you what's taking place outside the venue. A much better picture than what we saw earlier on. Of course, it was at around 7 o'clock. Voting stations across the country are now officially open, and throughout the day, South Africans have been called upon to go and register to vote, or even just go and check in on their details. But I'll leave it here for now in Johannesburg. Let's take you now to my colleague Ziniko Mhlaba, who's in the Free State monitoring proceedings there. Ziniko, have people started arriving there where you are?
Good morning, Ziyanda. Well, the stations, as you said in your crossing, that the stations have just opened. So the couple of people who are coming in, they're actually inside the voting station itself here in Mangaung. So I am assuming that they are here to verify whether their details are in order or not. We're in Mangaung in Free State, a very important province when it comes to voting, especially when it comes to voter turnout. And of course, in terms of the order, you'll expect people from Gauteng, KZN, and the Western Cape to record a higher number of voters. Well, the Free State is in the top middle order in that scale, in the top 10 when it comes to provinces, that are in the top 9 when it comes to provinces and their voter turnout. Mangaung, as I said earlier on, that is a central position, is in the central strategic position when it comes to garnering voters for the Free State. And what's surprising or what's shocking about the numbers of voting patterns here in Mangaung is the fact that the people who come out in their numbers the most are people between the ages of 30 and 39. So those are the people who boost or who push the numbers of the Mangaung and the Free State province when it comes to voting. But let's talk to someone now who's been residing in Mangaung for some time, but someone who has been voting since 1994. And Tate Modisa, who's joining me now outside Nozala Intermediate School, which is one of the voting districts here in Mangaung. Tate, thank you very much for your time. Talk to us about the importance of voting. You've been voting since 1994. You're telling us that even today you're still going to register to vote and check your details so that you're able to vote again in 2024. Why is it important for you to sustain that energy of voting? What inspires you?
I think voting is every South African right. So if you are in South Africa, you have the right to vote, and your voting verifies you the talk. You'll have a say in any way, irrespective of which party are you voting for. But voting is very, very important so that you can have a say in future for your country.
As someone who's been voting since 1994, it's almost 30 years now, which means you voted in almost every election. In terms of the processes of the IEC, are you seeing any improvement in terms of making the process easier for you as a voter? Are there any changes that you see? And if there are challenges that you think they need some improvement, what will those improvements be?
I think since voting, IEC is being perfect. There's no hiccups or whatever problems. There are no problems in terms of voting, in terms of the IEC itself. So voting goes smooth right away. Okay. From since 94 up until last time that we voted. I think this year, 2024 as well, we will vote. There will be no problems.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Tate Modisa, a very staunch and consistent voter in South Africa who's been voting since 1994, giving us a sense of how he feels. Well, he sounds very hopeful in saying that everything in terms of processes of the Electoral Election Commission has been perfect so far. He has no complaints. But let's get a sense of how things are going in the Eastern Cape. My colleague Siphosethu Booi is in Ngcobo. Siphosethu, how are things looking on your side?
Well, Ziniko, just like you, the voter registration, as well as Ziyanda, our colleague who's in Joburg, the voter registration has officially opened, and we've seen a number of residents coming forward to come and check really whether or not the details that they've registered online, the majority of them saying that they've used the online application to come and see if it really does reflect. And of course, you remember that, like we stated earlier on, that the Alex Matikinga cluster here in the Eastern Cape, in particular, is one of those areas that have seen a high number of increase as far as the voter registration is concerned. And of course, the ANC being the staunch party that many of these residents in this area do come out in their numbers to vote for. And of course, I'm joined now by Utatum Teteleni, who has been voting since 1994. And coming to nyaka sikuyo ngoku nje makuzawuregistarishwa njengomuntu okudala evota kubaleke kangakanani into okokuba kube namhlanje silapha futhi nabantu abatsha bakhuthaza into babaze ngaphambili nabo bazovota.
Siswam awekho amagama anoyichaza ukubaleka kolusuku kokuvota, except to say kukucela abantu ngoba olu lwenyulo siya kulo noregistarisha kukuqinisekisa into ba ezi gains sesizenzile since 1994 siyazigxininisa. Emphasis yethu ke singu African National Congress ikubantu abatsha, because this is about their future. That future ke izawudeterminwa ngabo by voting, because ngoku saphuma kulwa ngezigalo silwa ngokuvota. Now the more sigain a more majority, the more African National Congress izawukwazi uimplementa ii-policies zayo eburhulumenteni so that we better the lives of our people. But secondly, our young people, it is in their power to determine the future of this country, because without them, there is no country. So that's how the ANC views the voter registration.
I would argue then that the fact that many of the young people in this area in particular, if we're just going to focus on the issue of clusters and say, up in Motherwell, some of them are unemployed, some of them don't see the need to come forward to come and vote because they haven't found really a party that they can say that they'll come forward to come and register to vote for next year. Ungathini kwabo bantu batsha nabanye abasafunisayo bavotele omphumutho wena njengomuntu osi-staunch member se-African National Congress ujongile imeko unalithemba kanye confidence kwindlela yoba abantu bazawuvota ngayo with regards to owena umbutho lo ulapha namhlanje ufuna uzoxhasa?
Oh yes, Ndasekhaya, we agree ndoba we have made blunders as ANC in government, but our people should not lose hope, because the ANC is busy now reviewing our manifesto, the 2019 manifesto, and identifying areas where we see weak corner and to see how better can we manage those flaws moving forward. So that's why we appeal to our young people and ensure that we hold our ANC responsible and accountable to our voters. That's really what we can say. ANC branch, chairperson, thank you very much for making time to speak to us here on Newzroom Afrika. And of course, just to give us a sense of what he was saying is that they've appealed, or rather the African National Congress in this particular municipality, which is the Nelson Mandela Bay, appealing to the young people to come out and vote because the future is in their hands. So they should come out and make that decision to really give direction with regards to where they want their future to be. And of course, like I mentioned, that the Alex Matikinga area is one that has seen many staunch members from the African National Congress and an increase in those numbers in particular. And remember that the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality is one municipality that has seen a coalition government since 2016. So the instability in the metro will also give direction with regards to how the registration turnout will be throughout the metro. And currently now, Nasiphi is in Cape Town. Nasiphi, what's the current state at that side? Have you seen some young people as well coming out to vote this morning?
Well, Siphosethu, here in the Western Cape, having driven around from the city centre to Bellville, it seems to be business as usual. Not a lot of people out. However, it is yet to be seen whether or not the various campaigns from the political parties, including the IEC, in enticing the youth and young voters to register to vote and also actively participate in shaping the future of the country will obviously be materializing. So it's yet to be seen as so far as that regards. However, the youth engagement in registration, including voting, has been quite a concern over the number of years. But to talk to us more about the campaign the IEC has had over the number of years, or rather recently, I'm joined by Michael Hendrickse, the Western Cape Electoral Officer. Sir, thank you so much for your time. But you have been at the forefront of engaging youth and also enticing them to register to vote and actively engage in the upcoming elections.
Oh, that is correct. The IEC has been running a number of campaigns. In schools, for example, we work very closely with the education department. We've done over 200 school visits in a year for the last couple of years, where we go in and educate young learners with regard to voter education. We register those who have their IDs and just generally tell them how you can even go online and register. So we've done a lot of work within schools. When it comes to campuses, we have been on the university campuses of the universities in our province, as well as the TVET colleges across the province. We have engagements with them on the campuses. We do seminars, we do workshops. We even assist with running of some of the elections. So we do a lot of work in terms of organized youth. When it comes to the youth that are not in institutions, we work very closely with NGOs, with departments such as social development when it comes to youth cafes, libraries. We're working closely with librarians to assist young people to register and obviously to be able to cast their vote.
How has this campaign been received, rather, here in the Western Cape?
It's been very well. You know, what we've done is we've simply decided last year that we're not just going to do voter education when we go to these institutions. We also going to take our voter management device with us, the VMD, so that as we get on the campus, we also just register those who have their ID with them. So it's a positive thing in terms of measuring where we can get to, so that we're not limited only just to talking, but actually convincing young people to register so that they can exercise their democratic right.
Historically, low voter engagement has been quite a concern. I mean, this obviously has birthed this campaign by the IEC. What are some of the reasons young people, rather the youth, are giving you in their disengagement or even voter apathy?
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with the fact, firstly, one, we as the IEC have to look at whether our processes are such that it's too cumbersome. So one of the things we then did, specifically with emphasis on young people, is we have this online registration facility where if you're a first-time voter, you go online and you can register, or you can update, because many of our students move from where they were before and they're now in the metro or wherever at the campus. So if we make it easier for you to register, it's paperless, it's simple, it's very easy. We also then make sure that we understand the reasons behind, and a lot of that has to do with, in fact, it's the public representatives must answer that question. You know, young people feel that there's no opportunities. There's high unemployment, crime. There's a number of issues that affect them in their daily lives. Poverty. I mean, how is it possible that young people at university must go hungry simply because they don't have money to buy food?
Just lastly for us and quickly, there's over 1,500 voter registration stations in the Western Cape. Have there been any hiccups that have been reported this far? I know the doors have just officially opened.
Yeah, look, the reports are that all the stations are opening. We know in 2 cases we will not be opening at 8 o'clock. That's in Maracana, here in the metro. At the request of the community, they have some issues and service delivery issues that they need to resolve, and they asked us, and we respect that. We will continue to engage throughout the day with members of that community, and if we can't do voter registration there today, we'll see if we can't do a specific campaign in Ward 35.
Of the IEC here in the Western Cape, giving an update or overall update in regards to the voter registration weekend here in the Western Cape, and including those 2 registration centres in Marikana that have not opened. However, the IEC says that they will continue engaging that particular community as far as demands.
Right, Nasiphi Same, as well as other reporters, of course, across the country, giving us an update on the voter registration weekend. Ziniko, Mhlaba, Ziyanda, Ngcobo, as well as Siphosethu, Booi, giving us that rolling coverage.